Good morning. Have you ever found yourself saying, if I just got a few more of those plastic bins and labeled them properly, I'd feel more organized and more in control of my life? Hi, I'm Rita Wilkins, also known as the Downsizing Designer. That's our topic today. And frankly, I've heard that so many times from clients who are trying to declutter, and I've even said it myself. But here's the truth that I've learned after decades of designing and decluttering different homes over the country. Clutter's not the problem. It's really just the symptom. And that's a hard pill to swallow for many of us, especially for those who grew up in an era where stuff equaled success, security, and also status. But if you're going to be honest, no amount of organized, beautifully color-coded items or fancy baskets is ever going to give you the freedom that you're actually craving. Because if organizing was the solution, you'd all be free by now. So this is why organizing isn't the answer. So let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with wanting order because we all want that. And a well-organized kitchen drawer is so helpful when you're cooking, or a neat garage feels good when you walk in or when you drive in and you can actually move in there. Or a closet that's neat and orderly certainly makes it far easier to get ready in the mornings. But here's why we get stuck. Organizing often becomes a distraction. It gives us the illusion of progress without requiring us to make the harder decisions. If moving stuff around instead of actually letting go. So think about how many times you organized your basement only to find that 6 months later, it looks exactly the same. It's just a little bit neater. Nothing has changed. So that's because organizing doesn't deal with the why the clutter is there in the first place. So there are many reasons why we hold on. It's that emotional baggage beneath all that stuff. So clutter is really about the item itself. It's about the emotions, the unmet needs that are beneath them. So there's a fear of scarcity. What if I need it someday? Maybe it was a gift from someone. How could you possibly let go of that? And then it could be identity. You know, those books say who I am, you know, what I know, and it makes me feel important and smart. And then security is another reason we hold on. If I have more of something, I'll feel safe, I'll feel secure if something happens. And then, of course, there's love and loss. That's a reason that we hold on. If I let go of this, am I letting go of the memory of that loved one? So when we only focus on organizing, we avoid these deeper emotions, but ignoring them doesn't make them disappear. Actually, it just buries it underneath all the different piles. So if you haven't read it before, I highly recommend a book by Joshua Becker. It's called More of Less. It's finding the life that you want underneath everything that you own. There's a link on my, link below that you can check if you're interested in reading it. It's fabulous. I've read it at least 5 or 6 times. Then there's the organizing trap itself. It's about perfectionism in disguise. So if you have any perfectionism in your genes, organizing often makes you feel productive, but sometimes it's just perfection dressed up in all those pretty bins. So we spend hours creating that perfect system. We spend hours shopping, you know, for the perfect containers, the shelving, the planners, beautiful baskets to hide the stuff in, supposedly. But we're not actually dealing with the root issue. So the bottom line is that perfectionism can keep us stuck for many years. Because if you're always organizing, you never have to face the scarier, harder step, and that's deciding what stays and what goes. Let me say that again. Perfectionism can keep us stuck for many years because if you're always organizing, you never have to face the scarier, the harder step, deciding what stays and what goes. So there was a woman I worked with, and She was so proud of the garage that was so beautifully organized. Every tool was labeled, every shelf had was color coded, and it looked like a magazine photo. As a matter of fact, I wish I had taken a photo of it, but I didn't. But she confessed that she hadn't parked her car inside of that garage for 10 years. The organized clutter still filled every single inch. So her organizing gave her control on the surface, but robbed her of that deeper freedom that she longed for, and that was simplicity, space, and ease. So here's what I want you to hear. Getting organized might actually be what's holding you back. It keeps you focused on appearances, looking good, instead of the actual transformation. It lets you delay the decisions and postpone the obvious. It distracts you from asking the harder questions. Why am I afraid to let go of this? What am I really trying to hold on to? And what would freedom look like if I owned less? Those are huge questions, so keep those in mind. So this is why decluttering is different. Because decluttering is not only about making your stuff look better, it's about making your life feel better. So when you declutter, you make real choices about what matters most to you. You face the stories, you face the emotions behind all of that stuff. You face it head on. And then you stop rearranging your past and you actually start designing your future. So decluttering is uncomfortable, it's not easy, and it will probably be quite emotional, but it's also where the breakthrough happens. So my own wake-up call for decluttering, many years ago, I was the woman who had too much. You know, a big house, a lot of fancy things, closets full of clothes that I wasn't wearing. And for a long time, I thought organizing would fix that overwhelm. But the truth was, I wasn't willing to face why I kept accumulating. So I convinced myself that more stuff would make me happy, which it didn't. And the more I accumulated, the emptier I felt. So it wasn't until I downsized and decluttered by 95% of what I once owned that I began to experience the pure freedom, peace, and joy that comes with downsizing and decluttering. I discovered when I owned less, I actually valued what I had more. So this is how you can discover if you're stuck in the organizing trap. Ask yourself a couple of these questions. Do I spend more time moving things around than actually letting go? And the second one is, am I waiting for the perfect decluttering system to happen before I start? Or does my house still feel kind of heavy even when it looks neat? And the last question is, am I afraid of what I'll feel if I really start to let go? So if you answered yes to any of those questions, chances are organizing may be the trap that's keeping you stuck. But there is a new way forward. Instead of chasing the organizing systems, try this. Start small. Just let go of 10 things today. Sit with those emotions. Ask what story you're telling yourself about that item. And then reframe it. Instead of, I'm losing something, try this. What am I gaining? I'm gaining more room in my closet. I'm gaining a more organized pantry so I don't find stuff and have to buy it again. And then visualize. Picture that lighter, freer life that you're moving towards. So decluttering isn't about getting rid of your past, it's about making room for your future. So there's another book that I'd highly recommend that you probably should read. It's called The Clutter Connection, how your personality type determines why you organize the way that you do. It's really an interesting book and something I know you'll get. It's related to what we're talking about today. It's also in the link below. So baby boomers, we've reached a certain season of our life where more isn't better. We kind of get that, whether it's, you know, on a big level or a smaller level, we don't need the bigger houses necessarily, or fuller basements, or more bins or more stuff. We actually need less. We need more space, we need more freedom, we need more peace of mind. So let me challenge you to stop organizing and start letting go. So clutter isn't the problem, it's actually the symptom. And once you deal with what's underneath, that's when your real freedom will begin. So stop just organizing your stuff and start facing it. So ask yourself, are you ready to stop organizing and start living? I hope you are. Take care.